Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody joining. Thanks for joining us in this Kula AMA. As you may or may not know, AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. And in this case, it's always Ask Us Anything. So as this is going along, please go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A box. You can do that even now at the beginning so that we've got a queue of questions to answer towards the end after we're all done with our updates and our agenda for today. Now, if you're not familiar with Kula, Kula is a blockchain-based impact investment vehicle where we are looking really to bridge the gap between traditional investment and this new asset class of crypto, of digital blockchain-based investments. We invest into natural resources and real-world assets all over the world, and we look to identify a community that's typically been forgotten in the process. And we give back to them. We impact them in a positive way, either through profit sharing or, more importantly, through governance. Governance is kind of our secret sauce to this whole thing. As we invest into assets, we allow governance around those assets, both at the token holder level and at the community member level. Now, Kula is really making waves in this industry. We are proud to say that we are licensed and regulated, and really kind of creating whole new paths of investment into the digital asset space. So with that being said, as we've built this project, the three founders that have really worked hard to get this thing up and running, we were the dreamers, the visionaries behind it. At some point in time, when you're building a project, there comes this handoff time where we understand as entrepreneurs and visionaries that it's really not up to us to maintain and scale the company to the next level. Well, during that process, we have identified Paul Jackson as our CEO, and we've announced this months ago. So he's not necessarily new to the project. He was on staff for a long time as our chief compliance officer, helped us navigate through compliance and obtaining the license and the regulatory framework in which we operate. But through that process, we've identified him as the individual that's going to take Kula to the next level. And I am excited to get more FaceTime with Paul Jackson in front of our community, in front of our investors. And he's going to kind of give you more or less a state of the union, where Kula is and where we're planning to go. But really excited to present to you Paul Jackson as our CEO, and I'll hand it off to him as he takes it from here. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Micah. Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to be part of this AMA and to support you all. I'm going to start with a number, $1.6 trillion. By my reckoning, that's pretty significant. And that is the estimate by the Global Impact Investing Network of the current marketplace for impact-based projects. What is even more exciting and potentially scary is that they believe the opportunity in this sector could grow to something in the region of $26 trillion. Now, as you all know, and if you don't, Kula is a values-based project. It's an essential to who we are and what we do. $26 trillion provides an awful lot of opportunity to good and make an impact in people's lives. I'm fortunate enough to have basically seen what started as an idea grow, mature, and basically on the 15th of April last year come into existence through the launching of our Kula token. The founders, after that happened, weren't necessarily particularly happy when I said, "Congratulations, gentlemen, you've made it to the start line." After 3.5 years of very hard work by an amazing team of individuals, that's actually where we're at. and we were last year. Fundamentally, we've now got to basically build on that launch so that we can have an impact globally for many, many people. I've been lucky enough over the last 12 months to bring on a team around me of some amazing individuals that have added a huge depth and breadth of experience and knowledge to our community. And it is actually them that will actually help deliver our growth. But for today's agenda, if we can just go to the next slide, basically, we'll just talk about what our strategy is, what the progress has been in those 12 months. More excitingly, what is in our pipeline and what is coming up. So starting at the strategy, real asset deployment, institutional grade infrastructure, blockchain enabled governance, scalable global execution. What does that actually mean for our community? Well, if I come back to that previous number, 1.6 trillion, Kula believes, or I certainly believe, that in the next 5 years, $500 million of deployed capital amongst our projects is eminently feasible. We will start slowly. There is no way around that. Basically, for me, at the core of our foundational growth, the base of all our expansion will be our unique corporate structure, our licensing, and our hybrid Web 2.5 model. It's the regulation and those foundations that allow us to scale and ultimately will allow us to grow in a way that is robust and provides confidence to our existing community and attract interest for new participants as we move forward. If we move forward to the progress that we've made this year, in late 2025, we were listed on Kraken, a central exchange that is globally known. A great achievement for us, huge work behind the scenes by all the team. But as part of that, our white paper is now Micah compliant and allows us to passport the Kula token across the EEA. It's been accepted by the Central Bank of Ireland and has been shared across other EEA regulated authorities. I keep coming back to this term regulation. Kula sits at a junction, a crossroads between traditional investment and, as Micah indicated, amazing technology, blockchain that can be summarized as Web3. We take basically the best elements of both, merge them together to create what we term as our hybrid Web 2.5. We offer recognized structures for traditional investors, corporate governance, AML compliance, CFT, due diligence that for all our investment opportunities that they recognize and are very, very familiar with. On the Web3 space, this governance actually makes us a bit of an outlier, but an outlier in a really positive way, in that we were the first governance token to be regulated anywhere on the planet. That comfort and confidence is underpinned by our group structure. Now, this sits behind the scenes, but fundamentally, Kula had two entities regulated by the Mauritius FSC. And after Friday, we received great news from the CSSF in Luxembourg indicating that they have registered Kula General Partner (SARL) as an alternative investment fund manager under the conditions of Article 3, Paragraph 2A of their law. What does that mean? Well, Kula General Partner will oversee an alternative investment fund. Now, for that, this will be available to professional and institutional investors. There is a very prescriptive engagement process for that, and I'm not going to go into those details today, but anybody that is interested can reach out and email fund@kula.com, and the team will take you through that process. But what that highlights again is Kula's commitment to regulation. It is the foundation for how we will scale, and ultimately it will attract capital from existing infrastructure and access that $1.6 trillion that is currently in the marketplace. We talked about governance, oversight, control, ISO 27001. There are very few projects in the Web3 space which will have that level of security and qualifications. And from a traditional investment space, fund managers may well do, but the funds don't. We reiterate our commitment to this space. We're migrating our tech stack to AWS. And as some of you will have already seen, our governance app is up, running, and will only go from strength to strength over the coming weeks and months. At the heart of any project is its team, the human element. They're invaluable and central to everything that we do. We're now sitting at 42 people around the planet. We've expanded recently through the appointment of the guild heads. And I'm very, very happy to say that they're doing an amazing job going above and beyond and ultimately make my life very easy in terms of supporting the board and delivering our strategy. For those that have not seen Bruce Overton's bio on our website, please go and have a look. As I say, you should never be the smartest person in the room. And with Bruce on our team, that is guaranteed. This man is amazing. We cannot thank him enough for committing to support Kula, and it's a pleasure to basically work alongside him. At the core of everything that we do, we raise capital and we deploy capital. For us going forward, and if we move on to the next slide about what we are currently working on, there's $25 million of active projects that are currently being vetted, and $70 million worth of additional items in our pipeline that are approaching our initial stages of assessment. Because of the types of projects that we deal with, a lot of these are private businesses. So when and how we communicate with them is generally done under a non-disclosure agreement. And so I can't go into the specifics of the companies that we are talking to, but our investment lead, Ed, has basically provided us with an example of a project here that we are in communication with. The types of benefits that are brought to our awareness and how that actually impacts the community on the ground and how we can basically support them. So this project It's basically in-country processing of a raw material, increased income for local farmers, reduced emissions via shorter supply chains, job creation, skills development. The unique thing for Kula when we talk about impact, which, as you can see, there's a lot of different types of impact just mentioned there, and how our projects differ from a traditional investment structure, is that our projects report their impact and financial metrics to us in order for us to share them with our communities. As part of our onboarding process, it is agreed what KPIs they are going to have, both financially, but also on an impact basis. And it is this that you are actually is quantifiable. A lot of alternative investment funds and projects will state that they are able to quantify impact. We have, through the last probably 18 months, have been able to distill and create our own metrics that are mappable to globally recognized standards. And it is this that will be applied to all of our projects going forward. I don't want to tell too much today, but at the end of Q1, you will be able to see real live data for one of our projects showing its impact metrics. And basically through our app, you will be able to see that real time. So what's coming up? What's next for Kula? A huge amount of work is happening behind the scenes. It is very much the case of the tip of the iceberg. What you see and what we are sharing, there will be a huge amount of new information coming to the community through our social media channels and through our AMA over the coming months. But as we've just mentioned there, expansion of our impact metrics. We had a roundtable discussion recently in London, which this was discussed with industry peers, and it was identified that, again, the unique nature of Kula's model differentiates us in terms of being able to report in a timely and transparent manner. We are being represented in the Web2 space in in Amsterdam in the coming months. And for those that are more familiar with blockchain and crypto events, we will be at Consensus in Miami in, I believe, May. So if you are at those events, please reach out to us. Please go and introduce yourselves. It would be great to meet you all face to face. We will continue our review process and capital deployment of projects. But one of the most important ones for me, I think, is our community growth and participation. Everybody that has and owns a Kula token can participate in the running of this project. We are unique in that way. If you were to basically own an equity stake in a listed company, my belief is that you will probably not get much response if you were to email their CEO. You can dictate and help shape the direction of Kula by owning a token, registering it through our app, and basically moving us and providing recommendations and ideas. For me, I think that is one of the key things that I would really encourage all of you to do. They are your tokens, which makes it your project, and ultimately Micah, Sam, Chris, the entire team, and myself, we are here to support you in delivering that. So On that note, I'm going to hand back to Micah and Sam, and we'll look at addressing some of your questions that you've raised thus far. Thank you all.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul. Excited to have you at the helm, no doubt about it. You are gonna, and I've already done things to take this to a level that the founders didn't even dream about. So, well done. Thanks for all your hard work. Yeah, a few questions are in so far. I'm gonna tackle two of them right off the bat. The first one was just about Kula's revenue model, and if our investments are essentially making any money right now yet or not, or what's the status of revenue and income. Well, Kula's revenue model is one that we raise money by selling tokens. That's the gist of it. That's the most basic model, and then we take that money, invest it into assets around the world, and ideally those assets then generate income. And the need to sell tokens to raise funds becomes, at least to cover operational expenses, becomes less and less. Well, as we are a building project, we still lean heavily on the sale of tokens to cover operational expenses. And as we make investments, sure, if somebody could make an investment into a company that was generating that was cash positive on day one, it'd be a no-brainer. But just like we're a building company, our investments are building as well. And so while NZ is generating revenue, we need to scale the company to make it essentially cash positive, generating profits. So they are generating revenue, but we have to help them scale to bring in much more. And in the industry that they operate in and the country that they're in, that is absolutely doable. We see them scaling, and even in that video, if you saw 3 million Bodo drivers, if we can grab 10% of that market, that's going to be wildly advantageous for Kula. So we expect our investments to grow, and as we grow, there's going to be some that do great, some that do mediocre, and just like any other venture capitalist, probably some that we have to part ways with. But that's in the future. That's nothing we're worried about right now. So that's really Kula's revenue model. And then the second question is, what are we most excited about as far as projects we have right now? Well, and I didn't even touch on Nepal and agricultural land that we had, things that we haven't even capitalized to start producing income. So we have different investments that are at different levels. Like I said, NZ is bringing in money every month. We have Beka Zulu and hydropower that still require some work on Kula's part to make them cash positive. So which ones are we most excited about right now? Well, NZ has all kinds of opportunities, real possibilities to scale quickly and to bring in income quickly as well. So now we've also got some announcements coming down the in the coming weeks that will also hopefully get the community excited about more investments that we're making, more opportunities that we have at Kula. But if I had to choose from just our current portfolio of investments, yeah, I think NZ is going to be the most exciting, just because it is it's the closest, the fastest to being cash positive. Gents, do you have anything to add to that?
I'll touch upon the revenue generation,
Sure.
Micah. As I mentioned in my updates, at the heart of our unique business model is our regulatory licensing and our group structure. To do what we do, it does carry a cost base. There can be no denying that regulation is not cheap. But I actually turn that around and say, what is the cost of not being regulated and or being regulated incorrectly? That then leads us on to actually what we are already focusing on internally, which is actually offering almost a service income stream to potential clients. The real world asset tokenization market far lower at the moment and in terms of than impact investment. So numbers range from anyway to 30 to 50 to $100 billion that have been tokenized. Where that could go to, you are again looking at potentially $1 trillion marketplace there. Kula's ecosystem, and this is going to do a massive disservice to the amount of work that has already been put in and actually what is involved in doing this. But copying and pasting what we have in terms of regulatory structure and offering that as a service to a client means that they get a proven ecosystem, the regulatory oversight, years of experience, and basically time to market for them is massively reduced. Obviously, that requires capital and capacity. The main one is actually human capacity. Our priority right now is building the Kula business model for impact investments so we can help people and communities around the world. Going forward, though, once that is established, we can then shift our focus and offer this. It is my vision that actually by doing this service, we will charge a fiat fee to cover our overheads of the group, and we will end up being cost neutral at that point. But actually, beyond that, the assignment of tokens and revenue from these tokenization projects will be given to the foundation, and the foundation will then have two core income streams: the impact investment revenue and appreciation from projects, and annuity income from the service generation that we are offering to our clients. So I'm an accountant by trade, everybody. So these items are very much at the forefront of our minds. We do have to, however, choose a priority, and at the core of our business, it's impact investment. And that is where we're basically putting our attention in the next quarter. But please do not hesitate to think that behind the scenes there is an awful lot of deep thinking and work to expand our group and make it a far more robust offering.
Great.
If I can add a couple of things to what Paul just said. For the past few years, the industry's building RWA tokenization, but more in the Rails sense on the TradFi term. So when that Rail translates to Web3, it's really stablecoin. So that is not the product, it's like plumbing, right? What Kula is building is really the product itself. And it's a growing market, going from the Rail, which provides the foundation, how the money can move around, and then sitting on top of which is what Kula delivers. So the market size that Paul quotes is absolutely correct. I think the Rail has been so far in the hundreds of billions and it growing. And then the product side, even though right now it's sitting at probably double-digit billions, is growing into a very large market. We're very fortunate to be at the forefront of that movement. What we tokenize is not like, treasury or equity, because that's what's supporting the Rail. For us, we are creating this entire ecosystem, and we've been building that for the past 4 years. So really looking forward to where this tokenization impact investment angle will bring us in the coming few years.
Excellent. Yeah. We do have I guess, question or concern that came up in the Q&A, just about Kula's liquidity and that how it seems very limited, um, which is a concern for investors and holders. Is improving liquidity an active priority for the team? And what specific actions are planned? And is there an expected timeline for those improvements? Yeah, this is one of the most exciting things to me, as kind of the fundraiser for Kula. Most crypto projects are solely focused on retail investors at the central exchange, and they're worried about the exchange volume and um, how much how much activity happens on the central exchange or the decentralized exchange. Um, Liquidity comes a lot from the daily volume, and how much volume do you have in and out of your token? Well, because Kula is what we are, this bridge between traditional and Web3, we've got the traditional avenue of investment. Paul announced today, that you can learn more about through the Luxembourg Fund. Um, what this does is it allows institutional size investments and more professional investors to write larger checks. These investors traditionally don't have accounts on the crypto exchange. They might not even have any crypto in their portfolio. But what this does is allows them to invest in Kula, for much larger sums of money. They don't have to worry about managing their tokens, holding a digital wallet, custodying them, anything like that. But they're still exposed to Kula and and our portfolio, the performance of our portfolio. And so this opens up a whole new world of investment and much larger investment. So this has just come online, as Paul has said, in the last couple months. And so we are actively pursuing institutional investment that will greatly increase Kula's liquidity.
As I mentioned, with our white paper being market compliant now, the team are looking and advancing conversations with other central exchanges around Europe, North America, and around the world. So it is a process that needs to be followed. They've got a clear plan of who they are focusing on during the course of this year. So for us, it's we are aware of it. We're working to mitigate potential downsides, but the upside, as Mike has alluded to, for getting increased capital inflows into the project is very exciting. So a lot of opportunities for us as we expand and are able to share what we are doing across multiple different communication streams.
Excellent. Okay, is the token price drop that happened at the end of January driven by market conditions or something specific to the project? We kind of, I know we've got to be a little careful here talking about token price. Um, so I'm going to talk very macro level, generalized. So anytime Bitcoin sees a giant swing to the downside, it shows that there is uh, a lack of risk for investors. Investors are de-risking. They're pulling out of Bitcoin. They're pulling out of quote unquote riskier investments, and crypto falls into that category. So when we see Bitcoin take a drop, then that means a lot less money is coming into the digital asset markets. Now, with that just means less buyers, right? And if you've been on a crypto exchange, it's essentially an auction. You have buyers and you have sellers, and the market makers basically decide on the price of the most recent token sale. Now, when Kula has a long list of early investors, but we're actually quite proud that they are Private angel investors that the vast majority of which love the project, are on the project for the long term and believe in the long term of the project. As any other project, and with early investors, we've got some that are selling their tokens with each liquidity event that happens. And normally, when we had a really strong market last fall, the buyers would eat up the sells of early investors. Now that there's less and less volume, that has taken a toll on the Kula price. But it's also market conditions, right? It's kind of the perfect storm of market conditions, and some, just a handful of our early investors that are choosing to exit. So we are filling those as much as we can, those sell orders, with buy orders of new investors that are really excited about what we're doing at Kula. But then also, as we onboard more and more into the traditional avenue, that is going to make these cells look like a little blip on the map. So we're very excited about all the different avenues of investment into Kula, and that's generally what you see as far as the price action goes. And that's not Kula specific. Just about every token in the market nowadays has experienced a pretty good turn to the downside. But this is crypto, and that always turns around. This crypto basically operates in a cycle, and so we will see the bull market turn around, and but we're excited about where Kula is heading, and the opportunities we have for larger investors.
Well, there is something to be said about asset rotation as well, right? Like, you know,
Absolutely.
when people take on risk, like everybody go all in on Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and then what happened after that was the everybody rotate out of that to gold. And gold has dropped because everybody rotated into oil, right?
Right.
Oil
Yeah.
future went through the roof. At some point, which actually pretty much timing is perfect right now, is the attention to precious metal, mineral, all the stuff that Kula deals with is getting a lot of attention from United States and worldwide. So I think, if you look to the future about rotation, at some point it's going to rotate it to that. And I think we're in the perfect receiving end of capital for that.
Absolutely. Excellent.
Yeah,
Wow. Easy.
looks like we got done with
Just
all
a
the
handful.
questions.
Yeah. But yeah, it really is neat, the foothold that Kula is getting in all of the different meetings that we've had, the events that we've been a part of. We just had Kula representatives at a military focused event in Italy. We've had a roundtable impact investment event in the UK. Like Paul said, we attend all kinds of crypto summits and events around the world. So we really are getting our name out there across many different spectrums of audiences. Okay, here's a new question that came in. We're excited about Kula and where the project has been and where it's going. Outside of buying tokens, how can we support and promote Kula? Great question. Great question. Um, Boy, tell your friends and family. Um, I mean, follow us on social media, like and retweet and comment. All of that stuff helps us out. Uh, let's see. I'm comms department. Am I missing anything? How can our, because I know this person. This person's invested in Kula. How can investors and token holders help us? Become an ambassador. Yep. Follow us. Direct message us if you really want to get in deep as an ambassador. But social media and then really organic word of mouth helps us out a lot.
I would echo that. And as I mentioned, please feel free to make recommendations. This is your project.
Yeah.
We support you guys to deliver greater good and impact around the world. So we obviously can't action every single request and idea, but ultimately there's an awful lot of very, very clever people as part of this community. And we're more than happy to take solid ideas and guidance and advice along the way. So please reach out to us.
Next question that just came in. I love the reminder of cycles in the crypto space. Can you explain the bottom floor of the Kula token and how it's different than traditional crypto? Excellent point. Excellent point. Um, yeah, I mean, the quotations of bottom floor is because it is essentially a theoretical floor, but the idea that we back our token with real world assets and our treasury is really important because as we build our treasury, the idea of Kula going to zero is, in theory, an impossibility because we've got assets to back our token. Um, Unlike many other crypto projects, if we had to close our doors and walk away from Kula, we'd actually have assets on our books to sell, and that value would then go to token holders. And so, if Bitcoin, the market ever decides that Bitcoin is worthless for some reason or another, it could literally go to zero. That is, in theory and on paper, that is just not the case for Kula because we're onboarding assets. And the more assets we onboard, the stronger the value of our token becomes and the higher the value of our token becomes. Am I missing anything, gentlemen? I'm sorry, I'm kind of stepping on both your toes by answering the question. So please.
No, very concise, and as I said, alluding to the revenue generation of our service entity down the road, that is again another type of contribution to our treasury that ultimately will always be in place because the foundation and the project owns that intellectual property. It's basically knowledge that we can offer to the outside world. And ultimately, in its own right, is a very, very profitable and viable business model, which we're excited to be exploring. And we were discussing it earlier today about how and when we bring that online. So interesting.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. I think that the last question referred to something called a traditional crypto. It's kind of interesting because it's only been a few years, right? Crypto has been kind of in the market. So I guess traditional, to me, there's obviously Bitcoin, which is a really outside of the TradFi monetary system. So the value is assigned by what everyone participates into this network believes in. And then it migrates to protocol. And then protocol is really about usage, right? And what it supports. So the valuation method is really almost like a software type of valuation methodology. And then they move into asset-backed. So the first iteration is Rail, like the stablecoin Rail. So that's really kind of not exactly a valuation methodology. It's really just it's a stablecoin is a funny word itself, right? It's really a pegged token. It's not really
Right.
stable of anything. It's stable, against what it's like pegged to USD.
Yeah.
And then it's really about real world asset, like actual asset backed type of token. You still tap into the upside of like the quote unquote crypto market, but it's backed by actual asset. So like that's the thing that's exciting for us. So I think that's the kind of like the growth and the different phases of the crypto market. But I think for us is really the usage of blockchain rather than crypto that's exciting. So that's our revenue model is really based off of that. So very happy to to be talking about this kind of stuff here. It's very nice.
Absolutely. And it's fun to be at the forefront of it. It's fun
Yeah.
to be leading the way. You want to talk first mover advantage. Kula started building this project years before any other RWA project. And
Hmm.
the relationships we have, the even some of the ambassadors that travel the world for us um, in meetings, we so rarely bring up some of our key uh, personnel that travel around engaging with governments. It's a really exciting position to be in.
Maybe next time, Micah. Maybe we
There we
should.
go.
We
Yeah.
just step off the screen and let someone else.
Well, that's how these are going to evolve. We're going to have more and more of those people join us
Mm.
uh, onto these AMAs. So the idea of having, you know, former Prime Minister Tom Rott join us, or Sam, who's the former Senate Majority Leader in Kenya, join these calls with us. Yeah, we need to get them in front of the community and really allow the community to understand and grasp just how solid our team is, um, and and the exciting things we have coming forward or
Yeah.
in the future.
Maybe we should get Bruce up here too,
There we go.
right?
Yeah.
Didn't tell
Yep.
him yet, so I'll be surprised to know he has to go as
Yeah.
well.
He just got voluntold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just want to thank everybody for joining today. And if you couldn't join, thanks for watching on X and eventually on YouTube, as this will get posted there. Thanks for just following the project, for being a believer in the project, and telling your friends and family about Kula and what we do. Until then, we will see you next quarter for our AMA, and watch out for newsletters, for other communications, all of our social media posts. If you're not subscribed to our on our website with your email address, go ahead and go to our website, add your email address so you get that newsletter, and so you are made aware of every announcement through any channel that Kula has of what we have coming up in the future. It's exciting. So thank you all, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.